Hello, I'm Claire Woofenden at the Fintech Times. We're here today in London at the MoneyLIVE Summit 2023. I'm delighted to be joined by Kristy Duncan today. Hello, how are you?
I am great, Claire. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to be chatting to you on International Women's Day. Perhaps you could introduce yourself to our audience and tell us about your organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am so delighted to be here today on International Women's Day. What an auspicious time to have this opportunity to chat. I am founder and CEO of Women in Payments, the global association of. I tell people that I'm an engineer by training, a banker by trade, and a payments geek by nature. And I'm so excited to be chatting with you here today.
Wonderful. Well, you started the association, it was about a decade ago now, I think. What was the need to start it? What was the problem that you were spotting in the industry?
Oh, great question. So back in those days, there was no such thing as DEI. That acronym didn't exist. There was no such thing as ESG. There was no such thing as ERGs, these employee resource groups. And I found as a woman working in the banking and technology and payment space that I was definitely in the minority. And I thought, women need more opportunities to speak at conferences like this, to get out and build their networks, to have some training, some mentorship, some sponsorship, some leadership training, to have some recognition through awards programs. And I thought, let's see if we can do that. And I started it in Toronto in 2012, and we've grown to 6 markets. So very exciting.
I think that's the thing. You've grown from Canada to a global association, which is fantastic. What have been your highlights really over the last 10 years?
Oh my gosh, highlights over the last 10 years. Well, I always said that we couldn't do what we do without the support of some fantastic partners around the world. And so over the years, we have built a fantastic number of partnerships with some really fantastic sponsors and partners around the world of payments, literally. We've got a lot of the big banks, we've got a number of the card schemes and other payment players. And so that's really helped us to cement support and to build out the programs and the offering that we do. We have really enjoyed working with the women around the world. And I like to say we engage the innovators, the leaders, the experts, and the rising stars. There's opportunities for all of the women in our industry to engage with us, and we really love working with them and doing what we can to help them build their careers.
Why do you think it is important to promote diversity in the financial industry, especially still today? 10 years, you're still needed.
Well, we're not at gender parity yet at those leadership levels, perhaps at the entry level, getting there in mid-levels of our organizations. But at leadership levels, we still struggle to get gender parity in most of our organizations. So there's a huge opportunity, because when we get gender parity at senior levels, or at least a third of women at senior levels, then we've got some role models for people in the organization to aspire to. We've got studies have shown that increases our employee retention. It enables us to better do recruitment for employees. It helps us to develop our employees. And also to understand our stakeholders, to better understand our clients, our customers, our other stakeholders, because when we've got that diversity at senior levels, it helps us to understand the diversity of our employee base as well as our customers.
Obviously today is International Women's Day, and the theme this year has been about embracing equity. And I think, I don't know about you, but I found quite a lot of people have been confused by that, or at least don't understand the difference between equity and equality. How would you explain what gender equity is and why it's important?
Oh, great question. So I think gender equality is kind of what we have, or we strive to have, on paper, so that everybody, men and women have equal opportunities in many things. But equity is actually making that happen in real life. So giving equal opportunities to men and women and other strands of diversity for education, for promotion, for leaderships, for support. And we need to make it equitable so that we can actually start to see some results.
There was quite a depressing stat I saw that I think you might have mentioned it earlier about that it's going to take 100 years to close the gap in financial services. What can we do to speed that up?
Great question, and I always turn to our male allies. We've got these fantastic 50% of the population, 70% at many of our leadership levels of men who can be allies and champions of change and who can support us as women as we build our careers. They can offer mentorship, they can offer sponsorship, they can help to call out gender bias, and they can really help us to see things in a different light and to promote us and our efforts and bridge the gap between where we are today and where we really want to be.
Yes, there's another really depressing stat as well, that women still earn like a quarter less than men in financial services. Again, what more can we be doing to close that as well?
Well, at the risk of people not liking my answer, I think there's one way that is a surefire way of eliminating the gender pay gap, and that is pay transparency. So we've got two things here. We've got the gender pay gap, and then we have equal pay for work of equal value. And I think we're getting closer to equal pay for work of equal value. I hope we are. But the gender pay gap is the average pay that someone in an organization takes home as a man versus a woman. And typically that is driven not only by lack of equal pay for work of equal value, but also the fact that there are more men at those leadership higher paying roles rather than the women who tend to be concentrated in the lower half of our organizations.
Now, I'm not trying to do you out of a job or anything, but how long, or hopefully, will it be before we don't need an association when we're trying to promote women and that, you know, it is already a fair system?
Oh, well, please do me out of a job, really. This is hard work. And it seems to be that we're making slow progress, and I'm sure hope that I'm not here in 100 years, but I do hope that we get to gender parity before then.
So let's end with maybe a more positive note. What's your best advice for someone wanting to start a career in this industry?
Oh gosh, I would say put up your hand for opportunities and build your track record, build your network, and don't be shy about sharing your accomplishments with others. I used to think when I worked at a big bank that if I do a really good job sitting here in the corner that someone will notice and someone will promote me, but that's not really how it works in real life. So we have to be the CEO of our own career, find a personal board of directors, and just drive your career in the direction that you really want it to go.
Well, I think that's superb career advice. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you today.
Thanks so much, Claire. It's been a pleasure.